back and looking at the clothes and the bullet holes in the door and a bunch of other stuff. We're looking at it, and he has come to a conclusion that something doesn't add up with John Taylor or Wilford Woodruff's accounts of what they said happened, and they were the only two men in the room. The evidence shows that they cannot, they made stuff up. And they did it because they were covering up what really happened. And I have not prayed about it yet because I am still mulling over it in my mind. But this documentary was released on Friday, the 13th of January, and it's Thursday, the 13th of January, 2022. And it's shocking. And I've watched it 4 times now, or listened to it and watched it. And I had Kim watch it with me once. And there's people that are reviewing the movie and critiquing it based on their emotions. What I want people to do is review it based on logic and facts. And if the facts are that the forensic evidence shows the bullets went one way and Hiram got shot in the face with a musket, but it didn't blow out the back of his head, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff, and I would suggest going and watching the documentary. Just because John Taylor and Brigham Young live polygamy doesn't mean I live it. I live it. I don't live it. But I accept the doctrine because I have had very powerful, specific revelations on the subject, and I understand why God allows it. So, like with this documentary, the other thing, too, is these men knew what Joseph Smith taught, and we talked about that when we were reading the Adam God book. But I also understand that fully because God has showed me a ton of stuff. And they weren't just dreams, and they weren't just imaginations. They were God taking me out. Like sometimes I'd be resting, in the back of my semi-truck, thinking about things, just laying down. And I was taken up in the Spirit, and God took me and showed me visions of the past and explained things to me. I didn't try to force any of that. I just asked a lot. Asked all the time. Why this? Why that? And I bugged the crap out of God, and he showed me things when I was ready for it. And I have tried to justify certain things. I do know that God told me that Brigham was his servant, that he was not the Lord's anointed. But I also know that Brigham Young and John Taylor hated each other. They got in fistfights. And John Taylor even said one time that he hates Brigham Young, but he respects his office, So, there was division in the 12 because of stuff that happened in Nauvoo and other things too. But I tried to justify it one way, up one way and down another. But I know that Jesus Christ said that he would reject the church with their dead. And I know, taking a careful look at history and the revelation, that exactly what happened was exactly what Jesus said would happen if they were rejected. And I don't know how all these things work and are put together. I don't understand the whole puzzle of it. But I know that the church was rejected, at least in part. And if things happen the way that Justin Griffin is saying that they did, which he lays it out, then I think that we should study it to the best of our ability and take it to God after we have studied it out. I don't just take something to God that I just found out. That's why I haven't prayed about it yet. I'm mulling it over. I'm looking at the evidence. and I will take it to God when it's time for me to take it to God. And I'm asking God to inspire me so that I understand what is being said, so that my mind and eyes can be opened, so that I can receive a confirmation when I have come to a determination on whether John Taylor and Willard Richards did the thing that is presented in this documentary. But to tell you the truth, there are some things that just make sense that Justin brings up. And these individuals that want to review this based on their emotions and their ignorance, it's not helpful, and you're not going to defend anything without, like this one review I read today. I've read the account of Joseph Smith in Carthage many times, and like she's bringing it up like that makes her an expert on it. But she also said, I've been in this group, and they're all QAnon conspiracy theorists and Trump supporters and all this. They never talk about that stuff in the Zoom calls or on the Facebook page that I've seen or on the website. But this individual wants to try to make herself into some kind of authority, and she's lying to her through her teeth. And then when I questioned her on it, she gave me somebody else's article about the group. So I was like, so you're basically saying hearsay. This is hearsay to you. You haven't actually been in the group, because if you had been in the group, you wouldn't say the things that you say. And it gets back to lying for the Lord. Guess what? Lying for the Lord is still lying. Period. End of story. And I do want to hear people's rebuttals to what has been presented. But Jesus did reject the church with their dead in the 1840s before Joseph was taken, and I know that. And it doesn't surprise me that the 12 would have done, or some people, because William Law was an enemy to Joseph Smith. Sidney Rigdon was an enemy. There were multiple leaders that were enemies from time to time. So why is it such a big deal that John Taylor and Willard Richards would be an enemy? Just because they became presidents and leaders in the church after they left, but it's just, where do the facts lead? And after we studied out to get the best, I don't know, after we studied it out to get revelation on it, and I suggest people watch the documentary, it's going to be hard. Am I breaking up at all, Kim?
No, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I usually break up in this dip here, so sometimes I don't, though. But now, if you're just a cultural Mormon and you just listen to these programs because you like to learn, but you really love being in the church and you don't care about it, because I know there's a lot of people out there who they feast on the pride that they feel from being the most knowledgeable person in the classroom, and it has nothing to do with Zion's redemption, has nothing to do with truth. It has to do with being a part of a social club. Hey, if you're that guy or that gal, then don't watch the documentary, because you're not going to like what you see. But people who are interested in the truth, they should watch it. I suggest they watch it. And Kim, did you have any comments about the documentary? I know you've only watched it once because you just don't have time.
Yeah, I only watched it once. It was kind of confusing, so we had to rewind it for a second and go back and read it again because it was kind of confusing at first. Very convincing,
well, that's
obviously, but
you were distracted.
Yeah, I have 5 kids, and all of them ask me stuff. So Dad sits in the chair next to me. None of them go to him. They all come and ask me for everything.
Arius was trying to sit with me.
And like Amberly kept coming over every 5 seconds right now, they're doing their chores. They're up cleaning their room, and they sent Arius down with the walkie-talkie so that they could ask me questions, because they can't even do that without, me being right there doing it. So it's actually funny. Yeah.
Anyway, but funny. I did interrupt you. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, so that was, I wouldn't say I'm a guru on it or anything. I mean, that guy obviously did a lot of research, and obviously I would just have to read that. I looked at his documentary and what he thought. Definitely a plausible thing, especially since everybody else is trying to explain it to their own liking. I would always, take what he said and, take it to God. Maybe that is what happened,
Yeah, everybody's
Yeah, he is a church member. I knew that.
Well, this guy he was actually excommunicated for the video because it's damning. It's bad. But the other individuals with their theories that he went to, they're all in the church, and their theories do not line up with the evidence. They're trying to preserve the good name of John Taylor and Willard Richards and the authority claims of the LDS Church, which they belong to. So they're very biased. Justin Griffin was a member of the LDS Church. The Carthage problem was something he was really interested in. Looking at the evidence, it didn't match up, it didn't make sense. So he went in on a full-on dive bomb onto the evidence and presents forensic evidence which disproves the first-hand accounts of Willard Richards and John Taylor, which is weird because why would they say things that weren't true unless they were covering something up? You can justify it up one way and down the other, but the first-hand account doesn't match the forensic evidence. And so he continued to dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and he presents his theory about what happened. And I know that people think they're trying to find holes. I think it makes a solid case. And understanding that God did reject the church in the 1840s, it makes sense. So I would suggest people go and take a look at that. You can find it at Vimeo. It's VIMEO.com, and then type in Who Killed Joseph Smith. And prepare to watch it a couple times if you're interested in trying to understand. And it's not hard to understand. It's just, it'll rock your world. And I can't wait to hear people that actually can review or give a good rebuttal, not based on emotions like all of the reviews that I've read today, but based on facts. And I don't think the rebuttal can really be made without trying to justify something or twist something around. I think Justin Griffin makes a rock solid case. And if we are built on the sandy foundation of speculation and not on the rock of revelation, like how are we supposed to know that we need to repent, or how are we supposed to know if we trust somebody so much that we keep on going to them to quote them about what they say about a thing and they're wrong or whatever, and we don't go and get revelation for ourselves, then that's a sandy foundation of speculation. We need to be built on the rock of revelation. So it looks like Kim's call dropped. Kim, are you there? Anyway, the guest call-in number is 917-889-8827. I'm going to wait for just a minute till Kim calls back in, because the ending music yesterday, and I lectured Emmett about this, he's like in the office watching the studio. He's not today because he's in trouble. That's why he's not on. But we took all of his electronics from him and everything. So, and told him he can't go to his like clubs that he likes to go to, and because he's in trouble. Anyway, but so yesterday, and it has nothing to do with the radio show. It just has to do with him lying to my face and trying to gaslight me on some things that he said he did. And when I told him certain things today, and I don't want to get into it. He has Asperger's, and so he's in trouble. Anyway, but yesterday when he was watching the studio, he was supposed to be watching the studio. And when I just had uploaded the end of music again, because I accidentally deleted it last week, I pushed one button, and for some reason, it didn't push the button that I pushed on the studio. Like the other button, it just erased the music. So I re-recorded it, and it's at full blast max. If you listened to the program yesterday, you know. And Emma had a headset on yesterday, and his ears would have got blown out like mine was blown out. And he's sitting in front of the studio, and he has all the volume controls, which I can't control. I can see it on my phone, but I can't control it. So I kind of lectured him, why didn't you turn it down? Like it was way too high. It needed to be turned down, you know. Anyway, but hold on here. I don't know why my wife is not calling back in. But I don't want to play the end music like I did yesterday and just have it blow out our eardrums again, and I can't control it. And they're supposed to be on the studio. So, I don't know. My wife's gone, so I guess we'll just end the program with no music. When we come back on tomorrow, we're going to be in chapter 4 on page 23 of Polygamy in the Bible, and it'll be Abraham and King Abimelech. And I actually did the full reader portion and commentary on that program that we're going to be covering tomorrow, because my wife is going to be, I think she's going to be at a church thing. I didn't finish it all. Like I still have to finish it, but the majority of it has been done, and hopefully I can finish it. And then, so we will not be taking calls during the program to go live on the air, but I will be watching the studio. And if anybody calls in, I will answer the call and bring them into the screening room so that I can ask them what their questions or comments are, and then after the reading is over with, I'll be able to speak live on the program and address any questions or comments that anybody has. So, all right, well, I think we're done with the program for today. Thank you for listening, everyone. Take care. God bless. And goodbye.
Demi Moore gives a career best performance in the explosive new horror movie that everyone's talking about, The Substance. Co-starring Margaret Qualley and Dennis Quaid, Rolling Stone hails the film as an instant classic, and Vogue calls it a total knockout. The Substance is now playing only in theaters. Visit Mubi.com/substance to get tickets now. That's MUBI.com/substance. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without guardian.
Do you know what it takes to be iconic? You are iconic. I am iconic. I love Iconic Agua. I drink Iconic Agua every day. Join the movement. Hydrate with Iconic Agua. Find Iconic Agua in all Kroger and Ralph stores across America. Because when you're thirsty, there's only one way to hydrate. And that's with the world's best tasting spring water on earth. Hydrate responsibly. Iconic Agua, where hydration meets greatness.